Hey cats and kittens, Dwayne Lay from the LeanHRBlog, coming to you with part one of my three-part video answer to Chris Ponder's three-part video question about our careers. So terribly excited to be part of this. So let's get started on question number one. Why did you choose your profession and how did you get your foot into it? So a lot of times I feel like maybe it chose me instead of the other way around. I actually grew up in IT and did some time in quality, so HR is not my background. I was recruited into it by my HR VP at my last job, named Andrew Stroud, the guy who got me into HR and who's responsible for me still hanging around in it, I think. So here's the story. When I went to work with that organization, it was in a kind of a quasi-IT operations position. And after a few years, my group was moved into quality, so I started working on quality projects, got my black belt, got my MBA, and really enjoyed it, really enjoyed pulling processes apart, trying to rebuild things from the ground up. One day, our CEO took an interest in my team. We would go every Christmas and do some community service work. They were all very IT-type oriented people, very structured thinkers, and we would volunteer to do organizational work for one of the local youth agencies. So that time of year, it was usually taking in the charitable donations and getting them organized for the Head Start program for the parents and families to come in and do some Christmas shopping. Well, our CEO decided he wanted to help, a gentleman by the name of Tom Rooney. And we set something up, he was coming with us, and then he had to cancel at the last minute, as CEOs sometimes do. So he offered up his HR VP, who was new in the role, to help us. So that's how I first met Andy. He was new on the job. I had been there for 4 or 5 years at that point. So we got to know each other a little bit and kind of hit it off. So fast forward a few months, Andy came to me and he let me know that he needed some help on his team with his HRMS. Didn't really have anyone on the squad who was a computer person, had some really talented HR people, but very siloed. So I said, you know, sounds interesting, what can I do? And he said, well, why don't you consider taking an assignment in HR, help us out with this, and then if you like it, we'll find a home for you. So I took the assignment and absolutely fell in love with it. I was fortunate enough to work with him for the next 2 years, kind of being the utility infielder, if you will. So I got to work in compensation a little bit. I worked in training. I did some executive recruiting. I did some corporate recruiting. I was the corporate generalist. I spent some time as the manufacturing generalist. Did some investigations. Got to really put my hand in about everything. My full-time job there was eventually the director of talent management and HR operations. So I also ran the kind of the business side of the HR, right? Running the budget, mailroom operations, that kind of thing. So not all terribly exciting, but all really important. And it's given me a really good insight into the ins and outs of HR, how it runs, and being able to kind of look at each piece without having spent, a lifetime building up the knowledge to be able to actually do it myself. So I think it's given me an opportunity to really kind of understand what those subject matter experts are looking for and what they do, while not feeling like I can necessarily do it myself. So, and that's kind of an interesting place to be. So I know that I still have a lot to learn about all those different things. Kind of the same way that I understand a little bit about sales, I understand about marketing, I understand about operations, I understand about quality. So I'm kind of in a unique position in that I work in HR, but I didn't grow up here. And the work I do with processes and kind of the interaction between the departments, I think, is helped by that because I've seen the rest of the world. And that's why I'm a big believer that young HR professionals should always take a rotation outside of HR. Go work in finance, go work in operations, see what the rest of the world is like. So that's my story of how I got into HR. I moved from there, by the way, into another organization where I'm focused more on Lean Six Sigma in HR, which is why the LeanHRBlog is kind of my thing. So it's fascinating stuff to me, and I know I'm probably in the minority on that, but I'm happy to share what I know. So that's part one. Keep an eye out. Part 2 and 3 will be coming shortly.